I extend a warm welcome to each one of you to this free webinar titled Will AI Replace Librarians? Benefits and Pitfalls of this Technological Revolution. This webinar is co-hosted by eContent Pro and IGI Global Scientific Publishing, and it is sponsored by the Open Science Education Institute, also known as OSEI. My name is Courtney Mengel. I serve as the communications coordinator for eContent Pro, and I'm honored to serve as one of the moderators of this panel. Also joining us today are Michaela Felty and Savannah Pecknold from IGI Global Scientific Publishing. Michaela, if you could please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Courtney, and hello, everyone. My name is Michaela Felty. I'm the Director of Acquisitions at IGI Global Scientific Publishing. In this role, I found my passion in helping researchers bring their work to life, whether that means discussing emerging trends to shape new book and journal projects or guiding researchers to the right outlet for their chapters and articles. For those unfamiliar with IGI Global Scientific Publishing, we are a global academic publisher of books and journals within the areas of business and management, scientific, technical, and medical, and education and social sciences. With offices in Hershey, Pennsylvania, New York, and Beijing, China, our mission is to publish tomorrow's research today, ensuring timely, innovative work reaches the global stage. This mission is especially important as we navigate questions like, will AI replace librarians? As the field rapidly evolves, the voices of researchers and librarians are essential. If you're exploring the intersections of AI and library science, I invite you to consider publishing with us, as your insights are shaping the future, and we would be happy to help share them with the world. With that, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Savannah.
Great. Thank you, Michaela. Hello, everyone. My name is Savannah Pecknold, the Communication Coordinator of Open Science Publishing for IGI Global Scientific Publishing, and I will also be serving as a moderator for this panel alongside Courtney. I'd like to take a second to talk to you all about our Open Access Journal program. This consists of nearly 200 peer-reviewed open access journals indexed in the Web of Science and Scopus across business and management, science, technology and medicine, and education and social sciences. We make publishing your research quick and easy with personalized editorial support and a strong focus on ethical standards to ensure top quality results. We invite you all to explore our journals by scanning this QR code and finding a journal within your research field to submit your research manuscript to. Also, as a result of our partnership with ResearchGates, all of our journals do have a dedicated homepage to amplify the reach and impact. So with that said, I do encourage you all to use the platform to interact with the editors-in-chief on there. You can also interact with the authors and engage with the journal's published content. All right. Next, I'd also like to introduce you all to the official blog for Open Science, otherwise known as the Open Science Education Institute, which IGI Global Scientific Publishing is a proud sponsor of. OSCI is a community-driven blog committed to open knowledge and collaborative discourse on principles, benefits, and challenges within open science. It's a space where researchers, librarians, and publishers alike can come together to help make scholarship more accessible to everybody. You can check it out at oseinstitute.org or just scan the QR code right here to read the post from our expert contributors. Also, if you are interested in writing for the blog, either as an expert or as a guest, please feel free to contact them at contact@osciinstitute.org. With that, I will hand it back over to Courtney.
Thank you, Savannah. I also wanted to take a moment to introduce you to eContent Pro for those not familiar with us. We are based in Hershey, Pennsylvania, USA, and we provide high-quality copy editing and editorial services tailored for academic and professional authors. Since 2015, we have proudly supported thousands of writers, researchers, and editors in enhancing the clarity, accuracy, and impact of their written work. From their manuscripts to journal articles to book chapters and beyond, our team of expert editors ensure each document is meticulously refined to meet the highest standards of publication. With a strong commitment to speed, precision, personalized care, we deliver flawless publication-ready content to authors across a variety of disciplines. I'm also excited to share that we're currently offering a 20% academic discount on all of these editorial services. This limited time offer is valid until June 30th, 2025. So to learn more about our service offerings, collaboration opportunities, please visit our website at www.econtentpro.com. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our esteemed panelists today. Joining us is Miss Iman Khamis. Miss Khamis, if you could please introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Good morning or good afternoon, depending where you are. My name is Iman Khamis, and I am the library director at Northwestern University in Qatar. As well, I am I hold a 2 master degree, one in library science and one in data science, and published some articles, and as well was published with IGI my latest publication, which is edited book of the application of AI in libraries. Currently working on with my supervisor at Johns Hopkins towards investigating the ethical use of AI in higher education in specific, and happy to answer a question, and thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much, Ms. Khamis. Also joining us today is Professor Kevin Arms. Professor Arms, if you could please introduce yourself.
Good morning, everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm Kevin Arms. I'm the Associate Dean of Library and Learning Services at the fastest growing college in Florida. I have been working with AI since it began working, and we have recently published a collection of information about navigating AI in academic libraries through IGI publications. I'm grateful for this opportunity to speak with you all today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Also joining us today is Dr. Kyla Tenen. Dr. Tenen, could you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be on panel. I'm a UN Global Ambassador for Peace. I do a job curation, libraries, economic development, and women's empowerment. I love all things publishing and research. I'm also Secretary General at the International Institute of Economics and Management. Currently, I have about 9 to 10 book contracts with different publishers. IGI Global is my favorite. I published nearly 200 book chapters and articles. I'm publishing other authors as well as editors. I love doing collaborations. I'm also PhD faculty at Wolf University. I sit on advisory boards at different universities. And I'm also currently writing about 15 chapters on AI, particularly with co-authors. Of course, I already do a lot, so I'm about the last author on those chapters, but overseeing the content of those. And last but not least, I'm at the University of Phoenix College of Doctoral Studies. I'm a senior research fellow, and I'm also a member of their Center for Organizational Leadership Studies, working with workplaces and implementing AI there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tenen. Before we begin, I would like to note that we will have a Q&A session a little bit later in this webinar. So as our panelists respond to their pre-assigned questions, please feel free to pose your own questions using the Q&A feature or type them in the chat. So let's begin with the first question. How is AI currently being used to automate routine library tasks, and what opportunities does this create for librarians to shift into more strategic roles? I'd like to invite Ms. Khamis to share her response.
Sure. Thank you so much for this intriguing question. So as a practitioner and working in library, I can tell you that AI has definitely shifted a lot of our day-to-day routine jobs. But at the same time, it creates opportunity, but at the same time, it is limited. And I will talk about this later in the following questions. But in currently, just giving you a couple of examples that I've seen in my library and other libraries as well. Routine work such as shelf reading and other things similar to that is now been done by AI, by robots. Other things that people are now looking into it, and there's a lot of research that is published in that area, which is doing a descriptive descriptive analysis of the books, and which kind of creating a metadata of book or articles or something like that. That's also is been used in libraries. Other thing as well, been used in services. I've seen robots in doing some reference question in some of the university, and also I have seen hologram being used in some of the museums that I have been visited, which is also another way of curating a whole exhibition. I have seen also some exhibition that has been created by AI, which is quite interesting and quite entertaining. It's definitely going to affect librarianship on the long run. But again, like librarianship, as I know it, we have been hit with a lot of different technology over the years, and we have been very good in adapting into the technology and in actually using the technology in our benefits. And again, I can talk about this, but later in the later questions of how librarianships, specifically librarians, have been growing by using the technology, and always we use the technology as an enhancement and not a barrier in our librarianship or our field. And I hope that give quite of an answer to the question.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for your insight, Ms. Camis. I'd now like to invite Professor Arms to share his response.
Hi, that was great. Thank you, Ms. Camis. So in my opinion, AI is increasingly being integrated into the day-to-day operation of libraries. It automates tasks that were once time-consuming and manual. A great example is cataloging and metadata generation, where librarians traditionally spent hours entering bibliographic data. AI can now scan those documents, extract the metadata, and apply subject headings using natural language processing. We also see AI being used in circulation systems with automated reminders, overdue notices, and predictive analytics that anticipate high demand periods for certain materials. Another major area is virtual reference service. AI-driven chatbots now handle basic reference questions, things like, how do I access the database? Can I reset my password? Where is this item located? These bots are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, which extends the library's reach and ensures patrons get immediate access, even outside of the regularly staffed hours. I think the opportunity here is really significant. With AI handling the transactional and repetitive work, librarians can now pivot toward more strategic, high-impact work. This includes areas like digital literacy instruction, which is increasingly critical as students navigate vast and sometimes overwhelming online landscapes. We also have more bandwidth to collaborate with faculty on curriculum development, support digital scholarship initiatives, and develop innovative community engagement-related programs. So this shift is something I kind of anticipated early in my career. And to Ms. Camis's point, librarians have always adapted to the technology advances of the time. And you can go back in the history of librarianship and actually see this happening. And so this was something that was kind of easy to anticipate. And so in my master's thesis back in grad school, I actually argued that librarians would have to expand their skill sets and redefine their roles to meet this coming wave of technological transformation. It's rewarding and a little surreal to kind of see that prediction playing out in a real-time scenario. But I think this does underscore the importance of future-proofing our profession by continually building new competencies. In a way, AI is helping us reassert our value in the knowledge economy, not by replacing us, but by freeing us to do what only humans can, which is provide context, empathy, and deep expertise. This is a moment of reinvention and renewed purpose for librarianship, and I actually find this incredibly exciting.
Thank you so much, Professor Arms. I'd now like to turn it over to Dr. Tennant to share her response.
Thank you so much. I'm actually thinking about Dr. Arms' response, and I'm looking at starting a library just to disseminate particular research. And I'm thinking about his answer, what I'm looking at doing, and things being automated now in AI. And what I've seen in different master classes I've done, seminars, as well as at our university, at the University of Phoenix College of Doctoral Studies. And the majority of our library being online, I'm seeing AI as streamlining routine tasks such as cataloging, classification, metadata tagging, as well as circulation management. Even optical character recognition and natural language processing, as we know as NLP, are being used for automated indexing and digitization of archival materials. Chat boxes are even being utilized a lot. For example, powered by AI and are handling basic reference questions and user inquiries 24/7. So that's critical for students as well as faculty in different countries. These efficiencies also allow librarians to focus on more strategic initiatives like digital literacy training, research data management, community outreach, and institutional knowledge mobilization. As repetitive tasks become more automated, librarians are also increasingly positioned as educators, consultants, and thought leaders, guiding ethical information use and digital transformation within their institutions. I'm seeing with some of my colleagues regarding routine tasks. AI is automating cataloging, metadata generation, circularization, chat boxes, as I've mentioned, for example, like the FAQ sections, and even reference triage. This frees librarians, for example, to focus on more strategic roles like digital literacy education, curriculum development, data curation, even research support, and community engagement. But I would say most importantly, the shift requires rethinking the librarian's identity from task-oriented to knowledge strategy focused. I hope that makes sense. Thank you so much.
It definitely does. Yes. Thank you all so much for your feedback and insights into this question.
All right, moving on to question number 2. In what ways can AI-driven personalization enhance research assistance, and how can libraries balance efficiency with the need for human expertise and nuanced inquiries? I would like to invite Professor Arms to share his response first.
Thank you. That's a great question, actually. AI-driven personalization is probably one of the most promising developments in modern research support. Today's discovery systems are becoming increasingly sophisticated, offering customized search results, recommendations based on past behaviors, adaptive interfaces that respond to a user's field of study or research history, or even their preferred reading format. For instance, if a student regularly searches for articles on environmental policy, the system can begin to surface related journals, new publications, and cross-disciplinary resources that might not have appeared in a standard search. AI can also assist in auto-completing citations, which I know a lot of us at the college level, we deal with citations every day, suggesting the related keywords and alerting users to relevant conferences and calls for papers, which kind of extends the scholarship outward. This level of personalization streamlines the entire research process and saves users time. It helps them discover materials that they also might otherwise overlook. But personalization does have its limits. So research, especially at advanced levels, involves complex, nuanced questions that can't be easily matched by an algorithm or language learning system. So if you're thinking about interdisciplinary topics, for example, controversial issues or emerging fields where context and interpretation are essential, human librarians are irreplaceable in those places. The expertise is necessary to make those connections and knowledge. To balance efficiency with expertise, I think librarians and libraries rather should adopt a tiered service model. So let AI handle those initial inquiries and routine navigation tasks, like what I like to call the first mile of research support. But it needs clear pathways for users to escalate to people when questions move beyond a surface level need. Transparency is key too. Users should always know when they are interacting with an AI tool versus a human being. Ultimately, I think AI enhances our ability to scale service, but it can't and should not replace nuanced guidance and mentorship that librarians provide to researchers.
All right, yeah, thank you so much, Professor Arms. I would also like to invite Dr. Tennant to share her response.
Sure, thank you so much. I'm just thinking about the personalization of enhanced research assistant and just how librarians to provide a personal touch just in general. I'm at a library probably every day, every other day. But to answer the question, AI can enhance research support through personalized recommendations based on user behavior, even search history I've seen, and academic profiles. Systems like AI-driven discovery layers and recommender engines surface relevant resources. They also suggest similar articles and help manage citations, as previously mentioned by Dr. Arms. These tools actually streamline access and help users discover materials they might otherwise overlook. And so that's one thing that I like about it. However, personalization algorithms may reinforce information bubbles, or they might miss context-specific needs. So human librarians are essential for interpreting inquiries, guiding interdisciplinary exploration, and offering critical evaluation of sources, which we all know from over the years, and it's something that I love from human librarians. Also a hybrid model, AI for efficiency, humans for depth ensures both convenience and intellectual rigor in research report. Regarding AI-driven personalization and research assistance, AI can recommend resources, tailor search results, and anticipate research needs based on user behavior. However, it can't fully replace human judgment in complex queries, which Dr. Arms kind of touched on. These complex queries requiring contextual understanding. Libraries must balance personalization with human guidance, I think, ensuring that users receive nuanced, unbiased support, which we know that AI might have some bias in it. It could, and we also need to check AI outcomes that we develop from inputting AI responses. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Tenen. I would then also like to invite Ms. Chemist to share her response after that.
Sure. So I'm not going to repeat what both Dr. Tenen and Dr. Arms, which was very informative and they detailed about the AI-driven personalized tools that are available for most of our faculty and students and researchers and patrons as well. So I'm going to talk about it from an academic library point of view. We have two issues that we are tackling in academic libraries. The first issue is that there is like a huge amount of AI tools that's available for to personalize research or giving or do some literature review for you, or do some like again list of reference or create a list of reference or do a lot of other stuff. So we have to vet all of these resources as well. We have to give to our faculty and our researcher part of like this is what we have in the kit, this is what's available, but what is we wanted to be promoting to our community. So that's one thing that we should be thinking about. The other thing is that most of these tools that's available at the moment are actually costing money. And not all of the researcher or the students or the users can afford paying $20 in like multiple platforms. I'm not talking about only one platform. So I think the libraries can actually fill this gap because we are very good at creating consortia and like providing access to databases to majority of the population who cannot access those journals or cannot buy the journal on their own. We have been a platform of this of creating an equity at the community and also provide voice to the voiceless when it comes to the cost and the divide in community when it comes to that. So that also other thing that librarians should be able to fill this gap by providing access to specific trusted sources via our consortiums or via our negotiation skills or via what many different way, and as well vetting what sources that we are comfortable with sharing to the community, because a lot of the resources, as we know, it's not ethical. They are not using your data in they are not telling you that they are using your data, or they tell you that you use the data. So we have to vet all of that. So I think this is where in academic libraries, where librarians actually can fill this gap, because I do believe that there's a huge gap in this area that we need to think about when it comes to academic library or libraries in general. In terms of like the personalized and enhanced research, AI driven, I personally use a lot of those resources, and I can, on the top of my head, I can tell you at least 5 or 6 who are doing the same exact task, but in different way, different tools. So again, it could be personalized, but it will gonna waste the time of the researcher if they don't know which one is the best, how to use it, and how to use it effectively. And this is where librarians have been working on for many, many years. This is how most of our public service librarian, information services librarian, instruction librarians have been doing for many years. So we are very skilled in this area, and we can definitely build this and fill this gap in the community at the moment. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Kamis. That was great for you. And then
All right, we will move on to our third question. How can libraries leverage AI for advanced data analytics to improve resource discovery and collection development? And what skills will librarians need to maximize these tools? I'd like to invite Dr. Tenen to share her response.
Sure, thank you so much. AI enables libraries to analyze usage data, citation patterns, and search behaviors at scale to make informed decisions about resource acquisition, even weeding and accessibility. Predictive analytics can forecast demand and tailor digital collections to user needs. AI tools also identify gaps in subject coverage and track emerging academic trends, which I love. To fully utilize these capabilities, I think librarians must build competencies in data science, one of my expertise areas, even build competencies in analytics tools and data visualization. I was thinking about that with the last question and how I mentioned they can focus on digitization and learning, virtual learning, things of that nature with AI in place. And so these are some of the competencies I think they should learn and should know. Skills in Python, R, or platforms like Tableau or Power BI can support these efforts. Moreover, an understanding of ethical data governance is also crucial to ensure privacy and inclusivity in decision making. This is something that we talk about a lot at policy and governance conferences, specifically related to the government libraries, federal as well as at the state level. Also, AI for data analytics in libraries. Just to talk a little bit about that, AI enables advanced insights from usage data, helping libraries predict demand, identifying underused assets, and even making data-informed acquisition decisions. To leverage these tools, librarians can, or actually they need skills in data literacy, even ethical data handling. Ethics is something that's very critical, and also familiarity with analytics platforms or like coding languages that are like PIRR, essentially. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tenen. I'd now like to turn it over to Ms. Kamis to share her response.
Thank you so much as well for this question. It took me some time to when I first read it to figure out the best way to answer this question. So in terms of leveraging or enhancing the data analytics, absolutely AI here is like where AI shines. This is like their bread and butter, because you just give it the data, you give it an algorithm, it can definitely analyze this data, give you everything. Like the other day, I had my foot count of the library of the whole semester, and I wanted to get analysis out of that immediately. I got all of the information that I needed in less than 5 minutes. I got like how many people when was a huge number of people entering the library, what are my peak hour, what are my lows hour, does having events really affect the foot traffic to the library or not? All of that information and analysis, I get it in 5 minutes, which is a huge thing that I can use in terms of doing planning for the upcoming semester. In terms of collection analysis as well, they are very, like, again, this is their bread and butter. Like, this is where AI shine, and libraries should be using these features more often than they think, than we are actually. So in terms of using it in creation of metadata or cataloging, so I used to be cataloger for 10 years, so this area is very sensitive to me, kind of, because I have seen a lot of models that are doing analytic descriptive cataloging or metadata creation, and I saw like there is AI is not a new thing, it's not a new technology, it's an old technology, but at the same time it's not there yet. So there's a huge gap as well of what we are expecting, as, again, we have been trained to be information specialists for many, many years. So we are very good at this. So the quality of AI produced catalogs, let's say, or like cataloging record is not up to a standard to any big libraries or to any to even medium libraries. So we can definitely use it in creating some descriptive analysis, or we cannot, but we cannot really depend on it in creating subject analysis of the items. But it can help in terms of making the millions of journal articles that is published that no human being on earth can catalog. That it definitely can help, and that can create a metadata, can make these article accessible to a huge population that it wasn't accessible for before, because it wasn't discoverable. So there is a tool that I have seen in one of the universities in Finland. It's called ANIF. It's actually a very interesting tool, and it's very promising in terms of creating metadata. Librarians need skills, and I don't want to take up longer than I should, but like, we need to understand AI concept, we need to have data literacy, and we need to know how to use AI ethically, and we need to be aware of the data privacy, the biases in the algorithms, and how that will be affecting the equity of the usage of AI among our community.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Ms. Kamis. You touched on some very good points there. I'd now like to turn it over to Professor Arms to share his response.
Thank you. I think AI is unlocking new potential with data analytics. It allows libraries to make smarter, more evidence-based decisions. AI tools can analyze circulation patterns and database usage, interlibrary loan trends, library foot traffic, to identify what resources are actually most valuable and where those gaps exist. And I think this can directly overlap with user experience with the library, which can be a very important thing to be discussing with your patrons. We can also use AI to identify emerging research areas, as has been previously mentioned, by looking at citation trends. And if you've ever done bibliometrics, you know that that is a lengthy, complex process, and AI can actually help us automate some of those things, which is really helpful for proactive collection development. Semantic analysis tools allow us to look beyond basic usage stats to see how resources are being talked about in research, helping us ensure that we're not just meeting current needs, but we're also anticipating the future demand. Resource discovery is also evolving, as we've discussed. AI-powered search tools are moving beyond just keyword matching to include semantic search, natural language queries, and even visual search capabilities. This makes it easier for users to discover resources across disciplines, languages, formats, an area where traditional catalog systems have often struggled. I think to fully leverage these tools, librarians need to build skills in data literacy, data ethics, as we've discussed. Basic machine learning principles could be useful here. It's not that we all need to become data scientists, but we do need to understand how these tools work, what their limitations are, and how to interpret and communicate those findings effectively. Cross-training with IT teams and participating in professional development that's focused on AI and analytics will be very essential here. Custom GPTs offer powerful new capabilities for automating routine workflows, such as scheduling, organizing team assignments, and generating real-time data summaries and dashboards. These tools not only increase efficiency, but they also empower the library staff to focus more deeply on the service and strategic planning aspects that often get pushed aside. This evolution places librarians at the center of evidence-based decision-making, which ultimately reinforces our role as both curator and steward of institutional knowledge.
Thank you so much for that, Professor Arms. Savannah, I believe you're muted right now.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
All right, so moving on to question number 4, though. What exactly are the risks of losing the human element in library services as AI becomes more prominent? And how can libraries ensure they preserve empathy, critical thinking, and contextual judgment? I would like to invite Ms. Kamis to share her response first.
Thank you so much, Savannah, for this lovely question. And I can confidently say that librarians' human touch will be the same and we will be needed in the future. And I can give you a couple of examples how many times we have used chatbot and we were very frustrated. And I know I need to speak to our customer services now because whatever is happening, the chatbot is not answering my question. Exactly, we have exactly the same. It can answer question to a specific point again, where is a bathroom direction, or like how can I find this and how can I find that. But in terms of a human touch, not AI is not until this moment. We can confidently say that's not going to replace us. Again, I gave another example before about how many AI tools available there, and librarians can definitely provide insights and provide skills to researchers of how even to choose the right tools. Sometimes actually, I've seen a documentary about this. It's the use of robotics in public libraries, specifically in children library, and specifically in dealing with individuals with special needs. And the results were actually in the favor of robotics because the robots can keep repeating the same information over and over again without getting frustrated. On the other hand, librarians or people, we tend to get frustrated. Specifically, we're dealing with we're dealing with individual with special needs, which is this. This is the only research that I found where AI kind of were in favor than human touch. But other than that, I think librarian will always be that would be always our strong suit, is that we are providing the expertise, providing the human touch, and we are providing the services that is needed by our consumer. Again, also when students, patron, every one of us here in this room, I believe, have used ChatGPT or other generative AI softwares and get all type of either wrong information or inaccurate data or other false debates. And I'm not even talking about biases in the building of those LLMs, it's large language model, because it did build its model and train the model based on the data that was available on the internet prior to that, which give huge disadvantage to different languages. So if we're speaking about any other language than English, there is a huge disadvantage. So the model itself doesn't work the same in English and other language. And this is a whole debate. We can talk about it in a different time. But at the moment, librarian will always be able to, specifically as well in academic libraries, will always be able to provide the needed information for researcher, where they can find peer-reviewed and how they can tune their skills in order to eventually publish a credible resource that other people can use confidently and not totally depending on AI. And I don't want to take longer than I should.
No worries. Thank you so much for sharing your insights on that, Ms. Kamis. I'd also like to invite Professor Arms to share his response.
So as Ms. Kamis mentioned, I think one of the greatest risks as we embrace AI is the potential of erosion of the human touch that actually makes libraries truly special. AI is incredible at things like pattern recognition and information retrieval, but it can't replace the empathy, the intuition, and the cultural awareness that human librarians bring to every single interaction. So consider a student researching sensitive topics like mental health or immigration or trauma. An AI tool might retrieve relevant sources, but it won't recognize the emotional weight of the query or respond with the sensitivity that a librarian would. Likewise, AI may struggle with contextual nuance, local history or community-specific needs. Those things require deep living understanding. To guard against this, I think libraries have to commit to hybrid service models, as we previously discussed, where AI augments but doesn't replace human expertise. Regular training in empathetic communication and cultural competency remains a crucial act. Libraries should also engage users and feedback loops to continually assess and improve the balance between AI and human services. Additionally, we can design systems that elevate human judgment rather than circumvent it. So, for example, an AI tool might flag a resource as potentially biased or controversial, but ultimately it leaves it to the librarian to make the final call on whether and how to present that actual resource. So, in my view, the goal is not to resist AI, but to humanize it, embed ethics and empathetic principles into its design, and that ensures that human librarians are always present as the final arbiters of quality and care.
Thank you, Professor Arms. You brought a lot of great points there. I'd also like to invite Dr. Tennant to share her response.
Sure, thank you so much. That was an excellent answer, Professor Arms, as well as Ms. Simon. I'm just thinking about the human element in library services and the different kinds of libraries. I mentioned earlier government, but there's also business law, medicine, healthcare, academic, different fields that we're all in. And I'm thinking about how I'm a MD OBGYN turned DM doctor. So I do consulting in these kind of organizations. And I mentioned my library experience earlier. So I'm thinking about this in the human element. So while AI can enhance efficiency, I agree that it lacks empathy, ethical reasoning, and cultural awareness necessary for fully responsive service. I think over reliance on AI may marginalize those who require personalized or sensitive assistance, such as underserved or neurodiverse populations. I just completed a neurodiversity book at IGI Global. You can take a look at that. I'll place the link in the chat. But these are some of the things that I look at when I think about this question, and I love the personalized service from librarians. And so to counter this and to further think about it, libraries must prioritize human-centered design and ensure that AI supplements or augments rather than replaces human expertise. As Professor Arms stated, we can also think about this within the context of IGI Global and e-discovery, different platforms that are available with journals, book chapters, things of that nature. And so librarians should continue to act as ethical mediators and cultural stewards, but also training should emphasize interpersonal communication, critical thinking, and things such as reflective practice to preserve the profession's humanistic foundations in an AI-rich environment. We are moving in that direction. AI is trending. It's probably not going away anytime soon. So I think embracing that is critical. Regarding preserving the human element, to summarize here, the risk lies in over-reliance on AI, which we've discussed previously, potentially eroding empathy and critical interpretation. I think libraries must intentionally preserve human roles in advisory services, embed ethical frameworks into AI use, and even maintain a people-first approach, especially in diverse or marginalized communities. And I mentioned before as well, the underserved, as well as the neurodiverse populations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Tennant.
All right, let's move on to the fifth question. Given the well-documented issues of bias and misinformation in AI models, how can librarians safeguard the integrity and reliability of the information they provide through AI-driven tools? I'd like to start it off with Professor Arms sharing his response.
Yeah, this is another really great and an important question, I think. Bias and misinformation are the most significant challenges in AI, largely because AI models are trained on existing data that reflect real-world inequalities and inaccuracies, as Ms. Kamas mentioned previously. We've seen examples where search engines surface biased results or AI generated content hallucinates, which is when it fabricates those facts or citations out of thin air. As librarians, we're fundamentally committed to intellectual honesty, accuracy, fairness, and we have a critical role in safeguarding these principles even as we adopt AI. This starts with careful vetting of those AI tools before we even implement them. Are these people transparent about their data sources? Have they been tested for bias? Who's accountable for when errors actually occur? We also have to build in redundancies, cross-checking AI-generated output with authoritative, human-vetted sources, training staff and educating users in AI literacy, understanding what these tools can and cannot do is a vital function. Furthermore, I think we need to advocate for transparent partnerships with vendors. We need to demand clear explanations of how AI tools are developed and maintained. Some libraries are even exploring community-based AI development, where local experts help shape tools to better meet the community needs and mitigate systematic biases. At its heart, this is about maintaining our role as trusted information stewards, ensuring that as we embrace new technologies, our commitment to truth and fairness and ethical practice remains unshakable. Just as important, however, is recognizing that the widespread of adoption of AI must go hand in hand with an equally robust investment in digital and information literacy education. Patrons must be equipped with the critical thinking skills needed to evaluate AI-generated content, question sources, and distinguish between credible information and misinformation. Teaching these skills is central to the library's mission, and it's vital to ensuring that AI is used responsibly and effectively. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Professor Arms. I'd now like to turn it over to Dr. Tenen. Can you please share your response?
Sure. AI models can inadvertently propagate biases from their training data, leading to misinformation, exclusion, or reinforcement of stereotypes, which I think we all know. I think librarians must play an active role in vetting AI tools for transparency, source integrity, even accountability. This includes advocating for open algorithms, diverse data sets, and inclusive design. Libraries should develop policies and that mandate human review for AI recommendations in sensitive or scholarly context. Additionally, librarians can educate patrons about algorithm literacy. That's something I've been thinking about a lot, as well as helping them understand how AI tools work and how to critically evaluate the outputs that they generate. For combating bias and misinformation, librarians must critically vet AI tools themselves, understand their data sources and training limitations, and teach users how to detect bias. Transparency, continuous monitoring, and hybrid AI human workflows can help ensure that library services uphold information integrity and even neutrality. These are some of the things that I talk a lot about in my IGI Global AI books, and it's why I write AI books to provide that training if it's not provided in organizations. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that, Dr. Tenen. I'd now like to invite Ms. Kamist to share her response.
Thank you for this question. And I think I was like kind of half and half in the answering this question, half positive about it and half kind of like on the fence, because I think this is a lot to ask of librarian it's kind of a community effort, it's kind of a collective effort. So every part of us, every individual in education and everywhere should be aware of these biases and misinformation that AI models and producing out. And also, in order to safeguard the integrity, that has to be taught at every single place that you are, like let's in school, in universities. You have to be there should be public talks about this. It should be everywhere. In terms of what I can do in my library to make sure that AI tools are used and maintain integrity, is that I have to practice that first myself. So whatever I do as a librarian, whenever I produce something, whenever I work on a project or a workshop or whatever, I have to be I have to be practicing a very high level of integrity myself first before going to, and also vetting the sources as much as I can in terms of the ethical way that these sources have been built or used on information or else, because this area is quite interesting. I've read a lot of frameworks of the ethical use of AI in education and other places. And there is no one universal framework that everybody can use, that librarian can like share. There is plenty of those. So there is a huge area of research available for people who are listening now, if they are interested in figuring out how we can make sure that there is one universal way of telling that this software or this specific AI tool is safe to use and ethical to use at the same time. At the moment, there is plenty of guideline policies of frameworks everywhere, but we need kind of to speak the same language. I think in terms of libraries or librarians, we can definitely ask our information specialists to educate the community of the importance of being of maintaining a very high academic integrity in everything that we are doing. How to cite if anybody use generative AI tool, how to cite that correctly. Educate as well our faculty who are using AI tools in analyzing the data, how also to declare that in the research in a way that make it clear to everybody that we are doing the work on the very highest academic integrity possible. This is where we can help, and this is where we can add value to the community. But again, it's a collective effort in order to safeguard the integrity. It's not only on the libraries. It should be a whole community debate at the moment of how to safeguard academia and academics for future generation.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Kamis.
All right, moving on to question number 6. What are the realistic implications of AI for library job security and workforce evolution? And how should libraries prepare their staff for an AI-integrated future while addressing ethical concerns and data privacy? I would like to first invite Dr. Tenen to share her response.
Thank you so much. I think AI will inevitably transform library job functions, potentially reducing demand for some clerical roles, while creating new opportunities in areas like data curation, digital scholarship, and AI ethics. Rather than eliminating positions, I think AI will shift job profiles toward more specialized and analytical work. Libraries should also invest in continuous professional development. I mentioned trainings before. I think they should encourage staff to upskill in AI literacy, data stewardship, privacy law, and tech ethics. Institutions must also create frameworks to protect staff from de-skilling or displacement, ensuring that automation enhances rather than threatens the workforce. Ethical implementation plans should include transparent use policies and strict data privacy safeguards. Regarding job security and workforce evaluation, I think while some roles may be refined or redefined or reduced, AI also creates opportunities for upskilling and new positions such as data librarians or data ethicists. I also think staff preparation should include professional development, AI, data ethics, as well as privacy law. Ethical concerns and transparency should guide implementation strategies as well, I think. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tenen. I would then like to invite Ms. Kamis to share her response.
Thank you. I would love to be optimistic in this question, but I'm not that optimistic in terms of job security for librarians. I think we will be affected. The percentage, like I do remember 10 years ago, where like cataloger, for an example, were like the hot shop. Like every library had a huge number of cataloger because that was one of the core mission of the library, and it was very important. And then vendors introduced the shelf-ready books, and that means that you don't need those catalogers anymore. But there was shift in the market where the cataloger have been able to go and work somewhere else. Among of those were like the vendors where that provide those shelf-ready items. So there will be effect. There will be shift in the market. We're not going to be replaced for sure, 100% sure. But at the moment, it's not clear to me how we can use it AI tool. We need the skills in order to be able to be effectively using the AI tool into our benefits and not being affected and not being the victim in this situation. But if we cannot keep up with AI and if we cannot keep up of the trends, I don't think that we will be able to survive. So it's a crucial moment for librarians where it's important now to upscale our knowledge, but at the same time, librarians will always be needed. It's going to be kind of like a shift of the market again. That we talked earlier about the human touch. We talked earlier about how we are information specialists and how we are a few people who are very skilled in creating metadata and also dealing with information in many different forms. So that being said, we also need to be skillful in the new era, the new data era, where data actually is the currency. So I think I will just reiterate, we need to be AI, we need to be data literate, we need to have data literacy, we need to understand the data and also how to manage the data. We need to know how to use different tools. AI tools. We need also to understand how AI tools that we are providing to the users, such as book recommendation system or chat box, how those are working actually. We also need to understand the data privacy issues, and we need to understand the algorithm, because some people, when they talk about the ethical use of AI tools, they just are talking from one point of view. Is this tool using your data or not? But here there is another thing, which is algorithm building, how the algorithm was built. Maybe the algorithm was built in intent of marginalizing someone or marginalizing a specific population. So we need to understand that in order to be helpful to our community and to be able to give the community at least the tools that they need in order to make informed decisions. So that being said, librarians and libraries has survived many years before, have survived more similar technological attack, and I think we will survive this one and we will be thriving as well.
Thank you, Ms. Kimis, for that thoughtful response. I would like to then invite Professor Arms to share his response to this question.
Thank you. I don't think AI will replace librarians, but it does reshape our roles, as my fellow panelists have mentioned. Routine and transactional tasks become less central, and roles that emphasize pedagogy, digital scholarship, instructional design, ethical oversight, those things become more prominent. I have a genuinely positive attitude about this shift in our roles, and I think it may open doors to areas for librarians that they may have never considered for themselves to study and engage with. As Dr. Tenen pointed out, libraries must invest in ongoing training, areas such as AI literacy and data privacy law, and even emerging technologies. But I argue that this means not only attending professional development events, but also from a leadership perspective, fostering a workplace culture where experimentation, reflection, and collaboration are actually encouraged. We also need to think about how our ethical standards translate into this new environment. How do we uphold patron privacy when using tools that rely on behavioral data? How do we make sure that marginalized voices are represented in AI systems? Preparing staff for an AI integrated future means asking and answering those questions collectively. I feel like ultimately embracing AI with a spirit of curiosity and caution will help us remain not just relevant, but essential to this process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Arms.
All right, moving on to our 7th and final question. Is your institution's library equipped to stay ahead of the rapidly evolving impact of AI on libraries? We do invite you to recommend IGI Global Scientific Publishing's extensive collection of over 500 AI research books, ensuring your library remains a leader in AI advancements. I'd like to start this off with turning it over to Ms. Camis to share her response.
We actually decide, like, I don't want to be the one who's promoting their books or something, but there is a book that I have published with IGI about the application of AI in libraries. It's a very, very useful book. I actually just editor of it, but the research in it is very interesting and very unique because it comes from the Global South as well. So if you are interested in looking at applications that's happened in real life with implications and everything, and also the ethics part of it, I would highly recommend this book. And another book that I also highly recommend is The Advancement of the Contactless Technology and Service and Innovation Library Information Studies. If you are interested in building a book recommendation system, or if you are interested in knowing what happened behind the scene in chatbot, there are 2 chapters in this book that I wrote, giving you everything that you need to know in terms of the codes, everything that what does that mean, what the meaning behind the algorithms and everything. I hope you enjoy that. Besides that, I also have a lot of professional development opportunities for my staff, and also be keeping ahead of the trends by reading the ALA publications and other publications, and because the trend is actually growing very fast, so we have to be always on the top of what's going on. So that's why we also need to go and read in articles that's published more frequently than the volumes. And yes, and I'm looking forward as well of reading upcoming book as well that I have ordered from AIGI publication by Barbara Holland as well. So that's basically what we are doing, and yes, I encourage everybody to browse the collection. It's quite interesting.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Camis. I would like to invite Professor Arms to share his response.
So as the fastest growing college in Florida, we're in a position where innovation and transformation of how we provide services has to occur to handle the increasing number of enrolled students we're seeing. We've made some significant strides in integrating AI into our library services, though of course it's a continual journey. We've implemented AI in working with resource discovery, virtual reference services, and analytics, and we're committed to ongoing staff development to ensure that we're not just using AI, but doing so thoughtfully and ethically. One of the more creative projects we've dabbled with is the development of a custom GPT model that manages my master librarian schedule. And this tool streamlines the complex task of assigning librarians to embedded roles across multiple courses and modalities. And so it automatically flags scheduling conflicts, it tracks the status of my embed requests, and it gives me a real-time dashboard to monitor workloads and gaps. This has saved us significant time. It improved my scheduling accuracy, and it allowed me to relocate some of my energy towards student engagement and instructional design instead. It's still in the very early stages of development, but the results have been pretty promising. Our digital services librarian has also been focusing on creating a chatbot for after-hour student interactions that channel the students through custom requests to college library and learning services resources, and then ultimately escalates to a human being if that becomes a necessary part of that discussion. To give you kind of a sense of a scope of what we're doing, our embedded librarians are assigned across a huge array of courses, and those range from leadership and marketing to public speaking and English composition and even certain mathematics courses. This diversity of disciplines highlights how integral the embedded model is to supporting student success across our curriculum, and it's really essential to have efficient, scalable systems in place to manage that growing task. Staying ahead of AI's rapid evolution requires a proactive and multifaceted approach to professional learning. Libraries can stay informed by subscribing to a lot of library and technological journals like Information Technology and Libraries or College and Research Libraries. They can attend webinars like this one or workshops and conferences with groups like ALA or EDUCAUSE, and the Library Technology Conference, which often includes sessions on AI integration and innovation. Engaging with open access platforms like arxiv.org or institutional AI research can also help you with timely insights. I think it's equally important to foster internal learning communities, spaces where library staff can demo tools and evaluate their ethical implications, hold collaborative discussions, and then partnering with campus IT departments, instructional designers, and faculty can lead to really innovative and cross-disciplinary uses of AI that reflects local needs. In short, libraries should not passively react to AI trends. I think they should help shape them. With a combination of curiosity and ethical commitment and strategic planning, we ensure that libraries continue to be leaders in learning technology and access. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Professor Arms. I'd now like to invite Dr. Tenen to share her response.
Sure, thank you so much. Those were excellent answers from my fellow panelists. One thing in particular, I know I invite IGL Global to a lot of our conferences, our summits, different courses that we do at the University of Phoenix College of Doctoral Studies to keep libraries, librarians, AI, all of those things relevant. And so that's something that's number one of importance to me is having IGI Global there, even live, to explain some of these things. Also, to stay relevant in a rapidly changing digital environment, I think libraries must proactively integrate current AI research into their collections and strategies. IGI Global's extensive library of over 500 AI-focused titles spans topics from machine learning to ethics, providing essential insights for librarians, researchers, and educators alike. I posted some of my texts in the chat, so you can take a look at those. And I think with writing these texts in IGI Global and different titles focused on AI, it helps us to learn, to receive that training. Like I mentioned before, if we don't receive that in our organizations. By recommending these resources for acquisition, your library, or you would be in position for your library as a hub of innovation and thought leadership in AI and even information science. These materials support curriculum development, as Professor Arms mentioned. They inform institutional policy and enable staff to remain agile in the face of technological evolution, essentially. And so staying ahead with reliable resources, libraries must stay informed to lead in this evolving landscape. IGI Global's collection of over 500 AI research titles offers, I think, a robust academic content to support library professionals in all types of libraries. Researchers, they support as well as institutional decision makers in understanding and applying AI, especially responsibly. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Tenen. So we actually have Mr. Will Hartley, Director of Business Solutions at IGI Global Scientific Publishing, joining us today. So he'll be able to talk more about the AI ebook collection, as Dr. Tenen did bring up.
Thanks so much, Courtney. Hello, everyone. As Courtney said, I'm Will, the Director of Business Solutions here with IGI Global Scientific Publishing. And as we are discussing AI, I'd like to briefly introduce you to our artificial intelligence ebook collection, which, as we pointed out, includes over 500 titles of robust resources designed to support academic institutions in one of today's fastest evolving fields. This collection includes peer-reviewed scholarly titles that explore a wide range of AI topics, including machine learning, natural language processing, robotics, intelligent systems, ethics, and AI applications across industries such as education, healthcare, cybersecurity, and business. What sets this collection apart is the interdisciplinary focus. It's not just for computer science departments. It's equally relevant to researchers and students in areas such as data science, engineering, business, and even social sciences. From a library standpoint, we've structured access with maximum flexibility in mind. Our ebook collections include benefits such as unlimited user access, no DRMs, no hosting or platform fees, as well as multiple acquisition options, including perpetual, EBA, and subscription models. If your institution is expanding AI offerings or looking for additional content to support your students and faculty, the IGI Global Scientific Publishing Artificial Intelligence ebook collection is a great resource to explore. I'm happy to answer any questions or connect afterwards if you'd like to learn more. And thanks so much.
Thank you so much for that, Will. Okay, so those were all of the questions that we prepared for the panelists. We will now look through some of the questions that you, the attendees, posed in the Q&A feature and in the chat, and we'll give the opportunity to any panelist to respond to that. So I am going to highlight the first Q&A question that came up first. So this is from Jacob Adler. He says, thanks so much to all the presenters. I was wondering, how have you approached, if at all, original cataloging with AI? As a university metadata librarian, my own experience in this regard suggests that AI is still undeveloped in determining proper metadata for uncatalogued assets.
Well, I can try to answer this question, but not 100% answering it because I haven't used it myself. From my experience, I have seen a presentation done by the Library of Congress where they have developed a model to do cataloging, basically, by scanning the book, digitized book. And the result was quite interesting to me because, again, the descriptive part of our catalog, our record, like, 100 to 300, the number of pages, the title, like, yeah, I can do that. No worries, no problem. When it comes to the subjective, the subject or the analytic part of the record and the call number, the Library of Congress call number or the Dewey call number, whatever you're using, AI kind of were struggling. And I'm giving you an example. The author of the book that they were giving to us in the presentation was, I think the first name, can't remember the first name, but the second name was Rose. AI did not know that this is a name of author. I don't know why. And then it decided to put it, that it was a novel, and it decided to put inside of the subject heading things that are agriculture, gardening, anything that's related to rose or flowers or stuff like that. So that things happens, and I agree with you. AI still not there yet. It will be eventually, but still not there yet. That's kind of my experience. The other experience that I have seen again is the software that's called Anif, and I urge you to look it up. There's tons of YouTube videos about it. Anif, ANNIF. I might be mistaking. I'm not sure it was from the University of Finland or from the Public Library of Finland, but it's an open source. They put the code on GitHub, so any data scientist can download and edit it. And it actually is quite interesting. And I encourage you to look it up now and see that there are actually one application of it where I've seen the cataloger taking the mobile phone and just scanning the title of the book, like the cover page of the book, and it does the metadata for it, and it does quite accurately. So it depends on what type of accuracy we're talking about. And this part is one side because we are talking about monograph. Taking into the manuscript, AI is terrible in there. Even OCR doesn't work with hand manuscript. Other sources like pamphlets, other sources that we have in libraries. I don't want to enumerate all of them. AI is not there yet, but it is coming, and I believe in the future it will be much better. But this is just from my teeny tiny point of view.
Thank you for that, Ms. Kamis. Do either of the panelists have anything that they would like to add to this?
I don't have anything. I think that was excellent, Ms. Kamis.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. All
Yeah,
right.
this is not an area I've worked with very much. I appreciate Ms. Kamis's comments.
Okay. I will post this question here. This seems to be a little bit more general. This is from Beverly Gibson, and they ask, how are you incorporating AI in your daily routine as a library leader? What is the most freeing, quote unquote, mundane task that you have outsourced to AI?
I have a response for this one. I would say the most mundane task that I have outsourced is scheduling. Using custom GPTs, I can set specific types of customized scheduling rules. And when I import the master schedule, it automatically cleans the schedule and puts it into a template format that for me immediately works with the librarians to do their scheduling for their courses. And then I take that information and I plug it back into another GPT and it produces the master schedule and it generates a whole list of things that need to be finished are done pretty much instantly. It auto generates the emails that I send then to the help desk at the institution that then causes the courses to be embedded for each of the individual librarians. That task takes me a very long time to do manually. That is typically just the setup of taking the data out of the college's enterprise system for scheduling and parsing it and removing all the stuff I don't need is a 3 or 4 hour process sometimes because there's a great deal of information and we use specific courses that are a part of a program and you have to sort out all that information. So AI has absolutely freed me when it comes to scheduling. I think it also has helped me with data visualization, which is something we've kind of been talking about off and on throughout this panel. I think that was a newish area for me this year, and I have been kind of exploring dashboards and what we can learn from data without even realizing that that information is in front of us. I think it allows a way deeper dive into what our statistics and our analytics are telling us than we've ever had access to in the past.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for that. Thank you. Any of the other panelists want to touch on this? I think Dr. Tennant, I see you.
Yeah, that was an excellent answer. I utilize all of those as well. I would say probably the most would be emails, scheduling emails, drafting emails, summarizing texts. If you have Google, you know that Google Workspace exists. And in July, they're implementing Google AI Gemini into everything, all things email. And so that's something new that's taking place, which I was already utilizing, but pretty much for email sequencing, drafting emails, generating ideas, even summarizing texts within emails. Also, I wanted to mention some other things as well, such as smart assistants like Google Assist, Siri, productivity tools like Calendly. I utilize that as well for scheduling, and I automate that utilizing AI. So anything email and communication related. You can also use it for Grammarly. I use it a lot for data visualization, as Professor Arms mentioned. I just started utilizing it for that, but particularly for commercial clients like contracts outside of more of your library functions, but still within the library function. Like if I need sources for United Nations projects or contracts, I use it for that and for data visualization, particularly for risk management. And so I need to do inputs and generate outputs for that. And it saves so much time, so many hours. I probably can't even tell you how many hours of work AI saves for those United Nations contracts and using AI for that. I did want to mention some fun facts. It does help with health and wellness, such as like exercising apps that I use it for. There's libraries within those apps, like for meal planning, for counting calories, smart recommendations, even for sleep. If you have particular phones, AI is embedded within that. And so I use it for other personal productivity tools that help me stay on track in my personal life so that I can function like in my other roles professionally that involve library services. And I did see in one masterclass and on television, one of my colleagues was interviewing someone, and she said she uses it for financial management tools, home automation, even for shopping and meal planning. Like she'll take a photo of something that she wants in her refrigerator, and AI will generate like a meal plan for the week. I've seen other colleagues and I've done this as well, take photos of like a book to generate sources on a topic, even recommendations for librarians and colleagues at other universities that can help me write a book or collaborate on a topic. I've generated outputs for that from AI. So just a variety of things and tasks that I do daily that I utilize AI now for, and even testing it to see what are the different outputs for things that I want to use it for tasks that can save me more time. I hope that answers your question. Thanks so much.
Yes, definitely, and then some. I think that you brought up some very, very intriguing points there on the many uses of AI. Um, Ms. Camis, did you have anything you wanted to add on this question?
Basically the same thing. For me, day to day, also I use Adobe Express for managing social media accounts for the library. Besides using like the recommendation systems for the library, the chatbots, I use the one software. I don't want to like do like promotion or anything, but I use some software for project management, and I also used some software for analyzing library data and statistics and generating insights of the statistics. So I kind of use it every day in my day-to-day job, and it definitely shaped the way that we are doing. And recently there was the conference that I have hosted here in February, which actually made me feel very old, because like the presenters were very young, and I have seen them using generative AI many way. I can even enumerate, tell you all the way that they were using ChatGPT for, like literally for everything, creating schedule, modifying schedule, everything that you can think of, in many creative way.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, Ms. Camis. So I think that will conclude our Q&A session, but I do thank all of you attendees who took the time to pose your questions. So as we come to a close here, I would like to express my sincerest gratitude to our wonderful panelists for their participation in this webinar. But do remember that the conversation does not end here. Please stay connected with eContent Pro, IGI Global Scientific Publishing, and OSCI through our websites, social media channels. If you have any questions about the session today, feel free to contact myself or any of my colleagues from IGI Global Scientific Publishing. So we do have all of our contact information here. Furthermore, as we continue to host webinars, we would greatly appreciate it if you could spare a moment to complete our post-webinar survey. Your feedback is invaluable in ensuring that these webinars remain beneficial to you all as viewers. So we do have a link to the survey here, as well as a QR code, so you can easily snap that. And finally, I'm very excited to share the details of our next webinar in this series. So the next webinar is titled The Death of Traditional Medicine, AI's Impact on Healthcare. So mark your calendars for Wednesday, July 30th at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. The session will be hosted live via Microsoft Teams, much like this one. So do stay tuned for the official announcement and registration link coming soon. Again, we will distribute a recording of this webinar as soon as it becomes available. Thank you all again for joining us.